I'm delighted that we're here tonight, and I hope that as we get this project started, there's been a lot of talk and we've done a lot of presentations over these past 3 years, working with the city, Mayor Moreau Weinberger, in developing a project that I think transforms this old mall that isn't really serving the community's needs in any real and effective, substantial way. And we're going to bring a mixed-use project to the core of the downtown, where we're going to provide desperately needed housing, including affordable housing. Affordable housing will be about 20% of the total housing that we're going to build. Of course, when you do something this large, it has the immediate impact of revitalizing and strengthening the downtown. What we plan on doing will enhance the entire city. Some of you may have heard that we're pioneering new environmental factors. All of you that have heard about the district energy system, we are going to participate in the district energy system. It will be our renewable source of heating the project, phase one of the project. We are a founding member of the District 2030. The District 2030 is a national consortium of private real estate owners that are committed to reducing their fossil footprint by 50% between now and the year 2030, hence the name. We're doing some pioneering things in managing storm water that's going to land on our site, which will have an immediate and positive impact on both Lake Champlain and the city's wastewater treatment facility on the south side of the town. We will create jobs across the income spectrum. So we're very proud, and we've come to a great plan working with the city over these past few years. There's a lot of literature around the room about the project. I encourage you all to review it, look at it. Myself and some of my colleagues are here. We're happy to engage with you, take your questions, provide you answers, and we hope you'll get as excited about this project as we are. Thanks, and we're happy to sponsor one of the sponsors of the event.
It's the monster. It's going to eat Burlington. Guinness. I read your stuff. I like it. Thank you. I write for the Ellison Independent.
That's why, yeah, I was like, well.
So, did I hear our speakers late? Or I missed it? You haven't missed it. No, but I mean, I missed what they said. Oh. They said there were some travel issues. Yeah, do we know what that means? Are they all coming up from D.C.? I would think so. You've been following the wind issue, which I have written
Senator
about.
Sanders has arrived. Ready is in the building.
I'm glad you're tracking that. I guess we've heard the last of that piece anyway. Yeah, that piece. I don't think the wind advocates have any taste for bringing it back up again anytime soon. Yeah. And the developers are pretty much scared off. I don't think we're going to see any big wind in Vermont anymore, right? I don't know about anymore, but it'll be years anyway. The question will be what happens when they start building small and medium. Yeah. As whether is somebody going to be out there measuring 43 decibels? Or is somebody going to start objecting just on the basis of aesthetics if we have like a field full of small things? Well, we saw what happened with that project off Philo, too. Yep. So these guys must have come up here together. Anyway, I'll let you do your job. I just want to say I like your stuff. Keep at it. Thank you.
How are you?
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen the rest of us.
No, there's a few of you about it.
Yeah. I know who's supposed to be here. I haven't seen a single one. We got here early. Yeah. We got good position with the my first acts. That's right. Totally out of character for me. I'm always running around last minute. Get here 25 minutes early.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, great.
Yeah. Let me run up there for a second. I'll be right back. Let me sneak behind you for a second.
How are you?
All right, folks, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the videos. The videos are going to be running throughout the evening, so I hope you do get a chance to take a look at them. They are very good. Before I introduce our next speaker, let me just announce a couple of folks who are in the room. We have our Lieutenant Governor here, David Zuckerman. Somewhere here, I know we have our great Secretary of State, Jim Condo's running around. There he is, all the way in the back. We also have our Treasurer, Beth Pierce, somewhere here. Right? And then we have, I know we've got a lot of representatives, a lot of state senators. I will be in trouble if I start naming them, because I will, of course, leave somebody out. One other person I want to introduce is we also have right now our candidate for governor, James Ellison, there as well. If you have not had a chance to talk to him, I would encourage you to go out the night, go out to him, talk to him, and, grill him. That's what he's there for. So let me start off this program by introducing Joan Shannon from the Burlington City Council, who's going to welcome you all there. Joan is a great friend and has done a fantastic job in the City Council. And as you probably all know a little bit, has been bored lately. There's nothing going on in Burlington. So nothing going on at all.
Thank you, Basil. The good news is I wrote it down. It's a lot quicker when I write it down. So forgive me, but welcome everyone. We are honored to have this event here in Burlington. And I thank those of you who left the bucolic hills of Vermont and crossed the border to our grand city, where some buildings are more than 4 stories tall. We all know the nice thing you say about Burlington. It's so close to Vermont. But in truth, we have a lot in common with Vermont. And as Democrats, we all share many aspirations. We aspire to have livable wage jobs, and our city has an ordinance requiring that our city workers and contractors are paid a livable wage for well over a decade. So, just to go off script for a second, I'm actually a Jersey Shore girl, and one of the skills I learned early on was how to open a drawbridge without a horn. And it goes like this. There, that one was better. I'm out of practice. There are no drawbridges around here. We are building affordable housing here in Burlington, in our downtown, and trying to minimize sprawl into those bucolic hills. Our electric utility provides our homes with power from 100% renewable energy resources. We aspire to not only educate, but to engage our youth, and in that effort, we offer youth positions on our commissions and boards. And we also drag them here to events like this. We value diversity in all its forms: race, religion, nationality, and sexual orientation and identity. We are a city in a state that welcomes refugees and immigrants. And I'm here tonight to welcome all of you to the Echo Center on the shores of Lake Champlain in our great city of Burlington. And yes, we are still in Vermont. But you didn't come here to listen to me talk tonight. What I have to say as part of the crescendo of tonight's events. I want to introduce you to the Mayor of Burlington. We are proud of the leadership our mayor has provided in righting our financial ship, while still caring about and caring for the needs of employees, the middle class, and those who have the least among us. Because as Democrats, that's what and who we are. Welcome to Burlington, and here is our mayor, Moreau Weinberger.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Joan. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for that whistle, because I can't uncork something similar. It is exciting to be here with so many of you tonight, and it's exciting to be with you here at the Echo Center. I want to say thank you to Phelan Press, the executive director here, and congratulate him again on turning this space into such a great and important community venue. Welcome everyone to Burlington. I specifically want to welcome Congressman Keith Ellison to Burlington. I think if you can hear me, Congressman, I just want to say we are all feeling a lot better tonight than we were on the Thursday night a year ago after an election day. Thank you for all you did to make this past Tuesday a great night for women, for people of color, and for LGBTQ rights. Thank you, Congressman. You know, we know it was just one good night. We got a long way to go to get back to the kind of country that we aspire to be. Thank you, Congressman Ellison, for being such a strong voice pushing back against a president who every day attacks the institutions, the policies, the beliefs that keep us safe and thriving and bind us together as a people. Here in Vermont, we are pushing back hard, too. Part of the way we do that is by electing an incredible federal delegation, and I do want to, I believe Congressman Welch is here with us tonight. Thank you, Congressman. There he is for everything we're doing. Global warming and so much more. I believe we'll be hearing from Senator Leahy by video shortly, who is pushing back against the president, protecting the dreamers. And of course, we have Senator Sanders here tonight, who is doing so much to redefine the debate in America on so many issues. But as Vermonters, we're not just pushing back to our federal delegation, we are also doing so from the state and local level. And I think you can get a sense of that from the room here tonight and the crowd that is here. Here in the city of Burlington, we are working to stop what President Trump is doing and the ideologies he represents on many fronts. Burlington is holding the line against President Trump's attacks on the environment. In 2014, we became the first city in the country to source 100% of our electricity from renewable generation. And we are not stopping there. We are now working towards becoming a net zero energy city. And yesterday, Burlington took the lead in bringing together state, local governments, businesses, and institutions to make sure that despite President Trump's terrible decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement, that we make sure we still meet our climate goals of that agreement here in Vermont. Burlington is holding the line against President Trump's attacks on America's proud history of welcoming immigrants from around the world. In the days after last year's election, we took steps here in Burlington to ensure that Burlington police will not become agents of unjust deportation. And we have continued to welcome refugees and their families into Burlington neighborhoods as we have for 4 decades. And as President Trump moves to cut taxes dramatically for the wealthiest Americans, Burlington is holding the line against income inequality through our housing and our zoning policies, through new investments in high-quality child care for our youngest Burlingtonians, and putting resources into new progressive strategies to link the homeless with housing and other services. And finally, we have done all that, while at the same time restoring the city's A credit rating, keeping property taxes level for 5 of the last 6 years, and making city government more responsive and effective through technology and data. Here in Burlington, we never forget that advancing Democratic Party values requires effective governance first. We must be competent, responsive, and good stewards of the public resources if we hope to move America towards a better, more just future. Thank you again for all being with us here in Burlington tonight.
Right there in Burlington, let's throw that around for them. Whoa. Now, the next person we've got coming up, you guys are really going to want to hear. And I don't mean to offer any offense to any of the great speakers that we've got coming up here. We've got some fantastic ones, Senator Sanders, Congressman Welch, Keith Ellison, but this person is probably my favorite speaker of the night. She is Donald Trump's worst nightmare, a badass woman. She is someone who has been an Air Force Academy graduate. She was a pilot in the United States Air Force, a captain in the U.S. Air Force, served 3 tours in Iraq. 3 tours. She is a mom. She works in the hospital. I don't know what she doesn't do. And the most interesting thing about her, now obviously all those things are great, the most interesting thing that I find, she is a winner on Shark Tank. She was able to convince those sharks to invest in her project. Let me introduce to you our tomorrow's Veterans Day, Christina Guerrero, Captain Christina Guerrero.
My name is Christina Guerrero, and I'm a service-disabled Air Force veteran. As a member of Emergency News class, we were asked a very novel question on Saturday. When did you become a Democrat? I was stumped. In 1998, my 2 Republican parents signed a permission slip allowing me to go to the Air Force Academy because I was only 17 years old. The first time I voted for George Bush because Republicans give money to the military. In 2005, my unit was deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. I was a 25-year-old C-130 pilot being sent into combat. Now, the mission of the C-130 is interesting because it's considered one of the small planes. So we were often bringing troops and supplies into forward bases that were really in the thick of things. One day, as troops were boarding my plane, I saw an Army soldier, and he looked so young. He looked like he should have been in high school. And I realized he is someone's son, and I am bringing him into combat. I am taking him into the thick of things. And that's when something in me shifted. That's when I realized I disagree. I disagree with all of this. And that's when I became a Democrat. Because I wanted choices. And I wanted to bring them all back. I wanted to stop seeing war destroy American families. Destroy those soldiers' families. Marriages falling apart. Fathers who have yet to hold or meet their children. Mothers being separated from their toddlers. I deployed 2 more times after that. The last time I volunteered because I knew that if I didn't go, someone with a family would have to. After 12 years of service,
Thank you very much for your service. Now let me introduce to you somebody who helped me move to Vermont, somebody who encouraged me a lot to come to Vermont, somebody who I've known for a while. I'm so happy to call a friend, somebody who's been a great mentor, a great friend to the Democratic Party of Vermont, not just the Democratic Party of Vermont, to the DNC in general. And frankly, somebody who had been there, we wouldn't have had some of these problems that we did at the DNC. Jan Stetson.
Thank you, Pastor. Good evening, everybody. I am delighted to introduce my good friend, Peter Welch, who inspires me every day. Peter has served the state of Vermont in many capacities since 1980, when he was first elected to the Vermont Senate, and later by his colleagues to lead the Senate chamber. He became the first Democrat in Vermont history to hold the position of President Pro Tem, a position he held twice. I mention this in particular because it illustrates what is so special about Peter. He has the ability to affect legislation by working carefully with both sides of the aisle. It is this practical and thoughtful nature that makes Peter such a great legislator and a congressman for our little but mighty state. Should I yell? Louder? My God. Okay, moving right along. When Peter made his decision to run for Congress in 2005, I raised my hand and became his finance chair. Not only did I feel that he was a qualified candidate for the job, but I knew that he would represent our state honestly and with integrity. I also knew he would have a lot of fun. We would have a lot of fun, despite the stakes and pressure. He has not disappointed. Peter was a consummate candidate and I a consummate fundraiser, and we won that very tough race through hard work and a well-fought, clean campaign. In fact, we gained nationwide attention for being the only contested congressional race in the country where both candidates refused to air negative ads. Peter has served the state of Vermont as our sole congressman since 2006. He has been reelected by wide margins in every subsequent election since. His accomplishments in Congress reflect his strong commitment to bringing people together to find a common ground on the challenges that face our nation. He has worked across the aisle to create jobs, invest in energy efficiency, increase access to affordable education and health care, protect our national security and civil liberties, and care for veterans. Peter serves on the Committee on Energy and Commerce and the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Praise the Lord. It is my supreme pleasure to welcome Congressman Peter F. Welch.
Hey, you know what, Jane, when I was running, I needed like finances, like campaign money. And she did such an incredible job that this obscure state senator in Illinois said, you know, I'd like her to work for me. Barack Obama. She was one of the major fundraisers for him. Thank you, Jane. And you are in for a treat tonight. My classmate, Keith Ellison. Keith, where are you? All right. You are going to hear from Keith Ellison, and you remember he represented a breakthrough. He was the first Muslim elected to Congress, and he took the oath of office on Thomas Jefferson's Koran. And he's been there for Bernie. How many of us were there for Bernie at the beginning, Keith? Bernard Sanders is here. We came in on the plane tonight with Keith, and we were just comparing notes about how great things are going in Washington. You know, we're working on this tax bill. It's pretty cool. If you work at a company and the company decides to move operations, and you know they're told you can move with us or lose your job, you don't get to deduct your moving expenses. But when that company decides to move to China, they get to deduct everything. Isn't it a wonderful tax bill? I mean, you can't make it up, but they're stumbling around because they wrote it in secret, just like the health care bill. Like, secret, 18% of the economy is in the health care bill, 100% of the economy is in taxes. Written in secret, members of the Ways and Means Committee don't know what's in it. Get rid of the estate, get rid of that estate tax. So now, in order to try to file this tax bill of $1.5 trillion to the debt, right? And our kids are going to pay for that. And the benefits go basically to the top 1%. Now that's a really, really shrewd move. Helps the economy a lot. But you know what? That wasn't enough. They've got to fit it in. So the latest stunt they're talking about is to get rid of the individual mandated health care, drive down participation in the Affordable Care Act, raise another $400 billion over 10 years, and give it to the top 1%. So this bill is like a twofer for the Trump oligarchs. Take away health care from kids and give the money to billionaires. That's true. I mean, you know, if I said this like a couple of years ago, you would think I was doing science fiction. This is what this crowd is up to. It is gotta end, okay? Now, we had a good night in Virginia last night. Yeah! And in New Jersey. Yeah! And in Pennsylvania. And in Washington State. And I'm telling you, I'm excited about it because it shows two things. One, we're coming back and people are fed up, and this act of Donald Trump is running and wearing thin. But I'll tell you what gave me the most heart, even more than the victories of the Democrats. It's that voters rejected that Gillespie racist, sexist campaign where he was dragging up all of that stuff that Donald Trump inflicted on this country and made us feel we didn't even know the country we were in. That was rejected. And we're going to continue rejecting that from this day forward. But I want to say one other thing. I want to say something to all of us here. It's inspiring to me to see so many young people here who care about the future, and you are the future. But I want to say something to all of us as Democrats. As bad as Trump is, we are not, as a party, the party of anti-Trump. We're the party of pro-worker. We're the party of pro-community. We're the party of pro-opportunity. We're the party of accepting everybody, regardless of their race, their sexual orientation, their gender. We're the party of we're all in it together, and we're about solutions. And we are the party that says to those coal miners in West Virginia who've been hammered economically and whose communities are ravaged and voted for Trump, we're here to say to those folks, we're here for you because we hear your pain. You're Americans. The economy has left you behind. And we, Democrats, are going to stand up, all of us in this room, and help folks who are on the losing end of this economy. I am so proud to be here as a Democrat with you, with my friend Pete Ellison, with my finance chair James Stetson, with my wife Margaret Cheney, the former legislator, public utility commissioner, and my traveling companion, the junior senator from the state of Vermont, another obscure politician by the name of Bernie Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Now we have a brief message from Senator Leahy, who unfortunately was detained in Washington, D.C. He's fighting the good fight down there, fighting Trump's tax plan. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you Senator Leahy.
Fellow Democrats and fellow Vermonters, Marcel and I wish we could be with you tonight, but for those who have asked, her surgery was great. With her newly replaced hip, she's gone from Wonder Woman to the Bionic Woman. She's recovering very well. She's better than ever. We look forward to being home soon. But I want to thank Representative Ellison for coming to Vermont. I admire the work you do for Minnesota and for our whole nation. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for working so hard to elect Democrats. It has never, ever been more crucial that we elect them. Now, we Vermonters consider ourselves blessed in many ways. We have a talented team of elected leaders at all levels of government. They are put there by the strongest grassroots organization in the nation. We lead the nation, for example, as the first state to pass civil unions, and in the first state legislature to approve marriage equity. And we overrode the Republican governor's veto to do so. The Trump administration is divisive, it's discriminatory, it's mean-spirited. But despite this, Vermont will not go backward. We'll continue to stand with the LGBTQA community. Now, I'm profoundly disappointed that the President of the United States, the person who should work to unite us, seems to use every opportunity to divide our nation. What a difference from President Obama. And it's not who we are. It's not what we do. Like my fellow Vermonters, I see common ground and ways we can work together. Republican Senator Jeff Flake and I have our ideological differences. But we worked together, and we got on a plane together, and we went to Cuba and brought Alan Gross home from prison. And I'm very proud of Senator Flake. And he stood on the Senate floor and spoke truth to the president and stood up to him. You know, speaking of truth, something that we Vermonters hold dearly, I look at Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He's going to be held accountable for his false and misleading statements. He has some explaining to do. And I'm not going to rest until he answers to the American people. Amidst all the drama stirred up by the president, there are Americans who need help. They're counting on us. We need to fix health care. We need to address DACA. We need to pass a budget. We need to get work done for the American people. And one example where we are at our best is when disaster strikes. The president may focus on dividing the country. Americans unite in times of need. In Houston, Florida, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. I remember the support Vermont needed after Tropical Storm Irene, when Republicans and Democrats came together to help us. Now I'm the vice chairman of the Appropriations Committee. I'm fighting for disaster assistance for all these states, and including Puerto Rico. They are Americans. And that's I count myself fortunate, and I count Vermont fortunate, that we have tireless advocates in Senator Sanders and Congressman Welch. We get up every day ready to fight for Vermont and for our country. We need you to join us. America is too precious, too important to the world for us not to fight for its future. I believe President Trump is trying to erode America. We all need to join together. We have to keep pushing back. And I was glad to see that happen in Virginia and New Jersey on Tuesday. We need to keep fighting for the values we all cherish, values which truly make our country great. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for supporting the Vermont Democratic Party. I'm proud of it. And Marcel and I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Thank you very much, Senator Leahy. Now, briefly, before our guests of honor, I want to thank our sponsors on behalf of the Vermont Democratic Party. Thank you so much to Jane and Bill Stetson, to Dottie Deans and Lydia Spitzer, to Mary and Chris Von Alt, to Cree Lintelak and Phil Lintelak, Barbarina Heyerdahl, the SCA, Burlington City Place, NEA, the Vermont Retail Druggists Association, IBEW, the Bricklayers, the State Troopers, the firefighters, the Teamsters, SEIU, the laborers, the realtors. And thank you so much to everybody who's in this room. And now the chairman of the Democratic Party has an announcement.
All right. How's everybody feeling out there? Feeling good? Really energized after yesterday's victory? Yeah. So we've got a couple of great surprises for you. I guess they're not surprises. The next speaker that I'm about to bring up really needs no introduction. He is somebody who is really transforming, and I say transforming in present tense, the Democratic Party. We all know we need it. I want to say, sometimes you read in national newspapers, not Vermont newspapers, that is he a Democrat, is he not a Democrat? Well, I can tell you as chair of the Democratic Party, Senator Sanders has helped the Democratic Party, the Vermont Democratic Party, so much. Last time, when we had Susan running as governor, Senator Sanders went out and tirelessly campaigned for her. When I have needed him or his staff, they have always been there. They headlined the event for us at Curtis Awards. They have provided advice. They have provided resources. They have helped out legislative candidates. They have helped out state senate candidates. Basically, he has done every single thing the Democratic Party has always asked him to do. So before I introduce him, I just wanted to thank one other person. I wanted to thank Luke Shalen, who also is a sponsor. So thank you very much, Luke, out there. And what I think Senator Sanders has really done that the party has really needed is he has basically re-energized voting, re-energized democracy here. And I know he's not done. So it's a great pleasure I introduce to you Senator Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me thank Basil and all those who helped organize this event. Let me begin by saying Jane apologized she can't be here, but two of our kids are, Dave and Karina. And I am especially delighted, along with Peter Welch and Pat Leahy via video, to be with you. Pat, I saw this afternoon, apologizes he can't be here, but he wants to be appropriately with myself. Now, I have a distinct honor because I am going to be introducing to you clearly one of the outstanding members of the United States House of Representatives and one of the great progressive leaders in our country, and that is Keith Ellison. When I entered the House way back when in 1991, along with some other people, we helped form the Progressive Caucus, but it was always a very small caucus. A few years ago, Keith and Raul Grijalva from Arizona really got that caucus moving. It is now one of the largest caucuses in the United States Congress and a leader on every issue for economic, racial, and social and environmental justice. Keith has traveled this country from one end to the other, making it clear that we have got to overturn Citizens United and Keith, I can't see you, you're here somewhere, I know. You are in a state which prides itself on town meetings. One person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. And Keith understands that especially with the disaster in the White House, his name will be unsaid. That it is imperative now to revitalize American democracy, that every person in this country should be embarrassed that we have one of the lowest voter turnout rates of any major democracy in the world. And our job, and what Keith has been leading the effort about, and he's gone all over this country, is to open the doors of the Democratic Party and welcome young people and working people and people of every color, every sexual orientation, every gender, no matter where they come from, into the Democratic Party. Keith has been a leader. I don't know if any of you recently read some of the recent report that came out on the so-called Paradise Papers. Any of you see that? And this tells you, again, you can believe this, all over the world, the largest corporations and the wealthiest people, including a number of people in Trump's own cabinet, are shielding $21 trillion of revenue from taxation. So you've got an administration that will allow the rich and large corporations not to pay their fair share of taxes, and then wants to cut Medicaid by $1 trillion, Medicare by $440 billion, wants to cut nutrition programs for children and education programs for those who want to go to college. And what Keith has been saying, more strongly than almost anybody I know, from one end of the country to the other, is that we need, as a nation, to change our national priorities. Right. Instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, we're going to join the rest of the industrialized world, guarantee health care to all people as a right to a Medicare for all single-payer program. I've had the honor of being with Keith not only at functions but also out on the street, on picket lines and on demonstrations, where he has been one of the leaders in fighting to make sure we raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. And unlike the president, Keith understands that we work together to make sure that we take on the fossil fuel industry, that we tell them that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet for our children and our grandchildren. Some of you know Keith ran a very, very strong campaign to become chair of the DNC, and he lost by a few votes. But he is there fighting today to make sure that we do away with super delegates. So that it is the people in the 50 states who will help elect the next nominee, not just people who are not accountable to their constituents. So on every major issue, Keith Ellison has been in the forefront of the fight to make the United States government a government which represents all of us and not just the 1%. It is my honor to introduce to you the Congressman from Minnesota, Congressman Keith Ellison.
Many years ago, we had a great leader by the name of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And after he died, there was a funeral procession where his casket was put on a train and it was moved across the country. They had red, white, and blue bunting on it, and it was a very solemn affair. Large numbers of people would turn out to pay their final respects to the fallen president. And at one particular place, there was a guy who I can imagine him wearing maybe a bib overalls, flannel shirt, working man. And a journalist walked up to him and said, "Sir, I see that you're a little overcome emotionally. Did you know the president? Did you know President Roosevelt?" And the man said, "No, but he knew me. He knew me." My prayer for the Democratic Party and all of us is that every American will feel that we know them. Because President Roosevelt, he knew them when their farms were getting foreclosed. And he stepped up to do something about it. He knew them when they were in them soup lines, hoping to just get something to eat. He knew them when they needed work. And he said, "You know what? We're going to set up a government-sponsored work camp called the WPA, the CCC, and we're going to put you to work so you can have a good job until we get out of this mess." He said, "Look, you know, we know that if you're working every day, you got to have some rights on your job." So he said, "We're going to have the Wagner Act. We got to have the Labor Relations Act, which will give you some rights on the job and the right to organize into a labor union and the right to bargain collectively." And you know what? Today, right here in Vermont, there's somebody over there who's hoping and praying that the plant doesn't close.
and they need a party that knows them. They're laying awake at night, hoping that the plant doesn't close down here and open up, I don't know, maybe in Mexico or somewhere, and leave them out, left on the lurch. They're hoping that somebody cares about their son or daughter who's addicted to opioids. They're hoping somebody cares. They're hoping that somebody, some party, somewhere is going to step up and meet the needs that they are facing, that their children will be able to go to college one day, something maybe they never had a chance to do. You know, only about 24% of Americans ever go to college. Did you know that? The overwhelming majority work every day to make this country great, and they need somebody who doesn't just promise them a bunch of nonsense that he doesn't even mean. They need a party that's going to fight for them. Yes. And they need a party that says, look, everybody should be able to go to the doctor. We should have Medicare for all. Everybody ought to be able to go to college. A student should be worried about studying, not whether or not they're going to go bankrupt after they get out of college because they can't possibly afford it. This is the kind of party that we have to build. But to build this party, we have got to change the way we've been doing business. The Democratic Party really should be a collection of people who unite together along shared values of economic inclusion and liberty and justice for all. You know it. And the Democratic Party, I'm be honest with you, we haven't been that over the last several years. But you've been that here in Vermont. But we got to do that all over the country. We've got to change our culture. We have got to go from being a battleground state party to a every state, every county, every zip code party. We've got to go from being a party that campaigns every 4 years and is kind of run by some folks who got the inside track to a party that's wide open and includes everybody and wants everybody. We want them just-time voters, y'all, don't we? Yeah. We want the independents. We want everybody. We want to put together a program that is attractive because Americans will know. We know them. We care about them. We're fighting for them. We got to go for a party that doesn't just campaign every 4 years and doesn't just campaign for the presidency. We campaign every single day for every single seat. From the city to the county to the state to the federal government, to the presidency. We got to fight for the park board. We're trying to fight for the park board, y'all. We're not giving them the park board. We need the park board. We're fighting for all the seats. Hey, we got to eye folks some co-op boards out there. We're going to bring the co-op boards too. Because farmers all over this country are not getting a good deal from these big multinationals that try to take advantage of them and write the farm bill to their advantage and not for the average working farm family every day. So we got to be all over that. But I want to talk to you about how. You're like, okay, good, how? Well, first we have to do major investment in local community. We have to do major investment in state party. We have to do major investment in our college students and young people. And we've also got to invest in our seniors. Because I'm telling you this, our seniors are under attack by this administration. They're going to take about $500 billion out of Medicare. We cannot let them do this. They're always they want to get this big giant tax scam bill that Peter was talking about. And how are they going to pay for it down the line? Can you say Social Security? But not on our watch, right? But I want to tell you this, and this is very important. In order to do this, we have got to be the best party we can be. And we have got to commit to ourselves that the Democratic Party is really not for Democrats. What do you say? No, the Democratic Party is not for Democrats. The Democratic Party is for the American people. It's for everybody. And if we get out of this idea of, oh, well, I didn't see you at the last meeting. But we get out of that idea, and we get into the ideas, hey, welcome. The coffee's over there. We're going to get started. Do you want to take a walk back? We want you. We need you. What ideas do you have? We're that kind of party. Winning's not a problem. We also have to get out of the idea, and you guys really going to think I'm crazy now. We've got to get out of the idea that the election is the only important thing. Now, why do we got to get out of that idea? Because if we say it's all about the election, then we only come see you during the election. And when there's no election, you don't see us. Some of the pastors out there be like, okay, must be election time because you never show up at my church any other time. We got to engage that church community about payday lending. We got to engage them around protecting their retirement security. We got to engage them around making sure that every person of every race, creed, color, and background is welcome in our community. We can't just talk to them when we need them. We got to talk to them all the time. They have to be partners in how we govern. That's the Democratic Party we need, an inclusive Democratic Party that is palpable, that is present, that is in the lives of people every single day. Peter, people always grab me, and I know they grab you, and they say, what's the Democratic Party message? Let me say this about message. Number one, a message is more than the words. Bernie Sanders can tell you that the message is more than the words because he knows that the message is what you do every day, not just what you say out of your mouth. Is that right, Bernie? I think a message is made up of at least 3 ideas. Number one, relationship. Relationship. If I don't ever see you and you're never present in my life, then no matter what you say to me, you're just some stranger who probably wants something out of me. The Democratic Party has to build relationship. And this is why we got to de-emphasize the money and re-emphasize the people. We got to emphasize relationship building. We got to be in the line. We got to be at the VFW hall. We got to be in the church, mosque, synagogue basement. We got to be there. We got to be on the doorstep. If anything, we had a good day in all over this country on Tuesday because we made massive investments on the doors. I'm proud to report to you that the DNC didn't spend any money on television on Tuesday. I'm not saying the candidates didn't spend money on television, but the DNC put 100% of the money that we spent on the ground. And for a clean, renewable economy, do you stand for everybody going to help get healthcare? Do you believe that we should educate our people? And if Norway, Sweden, and France and Germany can educate their young people without charging them to go to college, certainly the United States can do the same thing. What is the program? What is the program? The program is lift up the working people. Make the VIP of this economy the working people of this economy, not the CEO. But that's the program, right? So let's just say my program was to come up to you and say that I love you. But I have no relationship, going back to number one. You say, I don't know you, man. You must be trying to scam me or something, right? So the program has to have a relationship or else nobody believes the program. That brings me to the third element. You got to do what you say you're going to do. The Democratic Party can never be the party that is talking about solving budget problems by cutting Social Security. We can never do that. The Democratic Party can never be the party that's going to offshore American jobs through something like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Democratic Party can never be the party that is not 100% on the side of the working people of this country. The Democratic Party should always be found fighting for fair trade, fighting for more accessible, more affordable education. It has to be found extending the boundaries of healthcare and fighting for democracy every day, fighting for everybody's right to vote. That is where we got to be. And if we have a relationship, and if we have a program, and if we live by that program and never sell out that program, winning the election is not going to be no problem. Winning the election will be a no-brainer. You'll show up at that synagogue and say, Rabbi, can I have coffee in the basement of your synagogue just to talk to folks who about the election. And they might say, well, I can't endorse you. I say, I know, but I just want to talk. He says, well, fine, you can do it. But are you going to be back next week after the election? And they'll believe you when you say yes. Because you've been working with them on sensible, reasonable regulations to make people safe and fighting against all these big, giant gun manufacturers who make so much money off people's deaths. You'll be in a relationship, so they'll trust you, they'll believe you. And this is where we got to be. But there's one more thing I want to tell you about, and this may be the most important thing I tell you tonight. Now, in 1963, Martin Luther King was in Birmingham jail. He had been protesting against unjust treatment and segregation pointed at African Americans. At that time, they were called Negroes, right? Right. And he was in Alabama, and, Bull Connor was spraying hoses on people. People of all colors, even white people maybe from Vermont, went down there to protest with him. But he was in jail, and in jail you don't have much to do other than write long letters. And he wrote the famous letter from Birmingham jail. Heard of it? Yeah. Well, while he was in jail, he would talk to the guards. And the guards would say, hey, segregation is right. It's in the Bible, segregation. And he said, no, segregation's wrong, and I'll tell you why. He said, well, let me tell you where you're wrong there. Because, I was raised to believe segregation was the right thing. And that's what my grandpa said. And King would say, well, your grandpa might be wrong about that. And one day, after they had formed a relationship, King says to his jailer, man, how much they pay you anyway? And the guy said, no, not that much, actually. And King was like, wait a minute, man. You ought to be marching with us. Because they pay you, you're as poor as Negroes are down here. You need to be in solidarity with us because they're not treating you right. And we're in jail and you're right here with us, so you're in jail too. You may be able to go home at night, but you're here all day. And they're not paying you much for it. He said, you fail to see that the same forces that oppress Negroes oppress poor white people too. Yeah. Why do I bring this story to you? Because, my friends, the current occupant of the White House is trying to do something that manipulative elites have been doing since the history of this dark country began. He's going to people who are doing the same kind of work, struggling together in every conceivable way, who are alike in every way that actually matters. And he's telling them, oh, you different from you, and y'all need to be separated. And some people have been nursed on that so long, they tend to believe it. And who doesn't want to believe that they're a little bit better? Particularly when they have nothing, not a pot or a window. What I'm saying to you right here and right now is, as the Republican Party is the party that wants to ban the Muslims and wall the Mexicans, wants to keep transgender people from going to the bathroom, as the Republican Party under Trump and Trumpism is the party that says that liberty and justice for all except, Muslims, Mexicans, fill in the blank. Right? Yeah. The Democratic Party has to be the sharp edge, the pointy edge of saying liberty and justice for all. We don't care, man. These are our people and we embrace them. So, imagine yourself being in the deep South in Alabama in, 1850. If they pay the slave nothing, and you work next to the slave, they're paying you next to nothing. Right? Right. We American people have got to take a lesson from the Democratic Party as we fiercely fight for this idea of liberty and justice for all. And we, the Democratic Party, cannot be weak-kneed and soft voice in defense of our diversity. We got to be loud and we got to be proud about it. We got to say it. We got to fight for it. And I just want to tell you, you don't have to be black to say racism is wrong, as Peter just proved. As Bernie Sanders proved way back in the 60s when he was arrested fighting for fair housing in Chicago. As Bernie Sanders was being let off in handcuffs because he believed that every man and woman ought to have a fair, decent place to live and their skin color should not matter. Way back when it was quite dangerous to do so, they would shoot you for that kind of stuff back then. In Chicago too, don't be surprised. But we are in a moment where he is fiercely fighting to divide us every single day. Everything he does. I mean, the next tweet, the latest tweet is always about who's up, who's down, who's good, who's bad, who's to blame, whose fault it is. This guy, what he's doing is attacking everyone. Let me just tell you this. If you look at the poorest states in our union, you know what they are? They're the old Confederacy. So they're saying, in order, we will be the last and the least as long as we keep those people in their place. The states that have done better at embracing equality have done better economically. Think about how that works. If we move to the next level of inclusion, what possibilities might exist for us? And I want Democrats to be the ones to say it. You know, it shouldn't just be women saying that sexual harassment is a horrible thing on the job. It is wrong, it's immoral. Men have to join this fight. We have to be part of it. Did you know that if we actually did raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, 2/3 of the beneficiaries of that increase would be female? Last I heard, they don't give women a 70%, 30% discount for bread, for rent, for soap, for anything. And yet, our society doesn't pay them equally. We've got to say that, look, our loved ones, family members, friends, and even if I don't know them, some of them are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. We're not going to let you exclude them. We're going to stand up and fight for them. Yes. We've got to be those people. We've got to be those folks who say, in America, you can worship as you please, and there's nobody whose religion is so over there that we will not include people. Yes. And it's not just anti-Muslim hate that's out there, although it is out there. Did you know that there's a 59% increase in anti-Semitic attacks this year alone? Yes. Yes. This year alone. The ADL has been, and y'all saw Charlottesville, right? You saw the Klan, you saw the neo-Nazis out there. Did you hear those bad, evil people saying Jews will not replace us? Yes. Did you hear that? Yes. And did you hear your president get up there and say, well, you know, there's good people on both sides? Right. What I'm trying to tell you is he was dog whistling them. Yes. They thanked him for not denouncing them. Yes. They were very well aware of the signal he was sending. It's important for us to understand that elites in this society, not all of them, but some, have manipulated race to the benefit of themselves, to divide us, to break us up, because they know there's strength in unity. And they also know if you want to divide and conquer, that's a good way for you to control everyone. I'm going to wrap up in just a moment, but I just want to read you a quote from somebody. Y'all got, everybody okay? Yeah. All right, everybody's all right, right? I want to read you a quote from a guy named Lee Atwater. Y'all heard of him? Lee Atwater was one time giving a speech explaining what the Southern strategy was. And I want to share this quote with you guys because I'm a little bit nervous that folks might think, oh, you know what, Keith, you're just sort of exaggerating. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to tell you exactly what he said as soon as I find my page. Lee Atwater was the mentor of the likes of Newt Gingrich. He's from way back. He was telling these folks, one thing he said is that Republicans could not win in the South, so you had to bring the person's image down. You had to assassinate their character. You had to make people believe they were a bad person. So let me just tell you, when you see up on the TV them trying to destroy people's character, don't be surprised. This is a tactical measure out of their playbook. Smear is what they do. Is John Kerry a coward? No. They said he was. Is Michael Dukakis unwilling to protect the public and promote public safety? No. They said he was. Be very careful when you hear these people slur our people, because that's part of how they do business. But I want to tell you, Lee Atwater said the following. Here's a quote. You start out in 1954 saying N-word, N-word, N-word. Y'all know what I mean, right? Yeah. By 1968, you can't say N-word. You said the N-word. That hurts you. It backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing and states' rights. And all that stuff, and now you're getting so abstract. Now you're talking about cutting taxes. And all these things you're talking about are totally economic things. And a byproduct of them is that blacks get hurt worse than whites. We want to cut this. Is much more abstract than busing thing, and way more abstract than N-word, N-word. Now look, I'm not saying that they're not greedy and don't want to pay any taxes. That's true. But one thing they said, they're trying to insinuate in message is to say, you know, we cutting the taxes because them lazy black people on welfare are just sucking up your taxes. You know that's what they're trying to say, but they won't say it. But he says what they're saying. So we've got to point it out, you guys. We have got to be that vanguard. We have got to be that righteous group of people who never stop fighting for equality, who believe that everybody has an opportunity in this country, who believe that the best of our country is yet to come, and that genius is not tied up in any ethnic group, but is in all ethnic groups. This is what we have to stand for. This is what we are called to do today. I want to just say to my dear friend, Bernie Sanders, I admire you so much. Man, I love you. That's I don't know what else to say. You're the best. I want to say to my dear friend, Peter Welch, you're my brother from another mother. You're the best. Love you too. I want to say to Senator Leahy, thank you. And we are pulling for the speedy recovery of his beloved wife. And I want to say to our mayor and all the officials here, thank you. But mostly I want to say to the activists. Put your hand in the air if you're an activist. I want to say that you all are the best we got. And you can carry this message all over Vermont. And I heard that you even carried it further than Vermont. I want to tell you that if you will keep doing what you're doing and will fight and never let cynicism sleep in, and if you will stand on the values that we believe in, we cannot lose. Victory is right in front of us. Let's go do this for the American people. Thank you, everyone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before you all ask Bernie Sanders and Pete, I just have one sad note. I just want to, we all know we lost the champion here this week in Ed Flanagan. He was the first openly gay statewide elected official. His nickname was Bulldog as an auditor. He is what a Democrat should be. So I just want to acknowledge that, and we just have one moment of silence for him. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. And look, it's 8:10 and the Democratic Party event is over. Thank you again for coming.